The next tool I'll introduce to you is called a rope hackamore. Okay, hackamore comes from a Spanish word hakima, which means a bitless bridle. So there are lots of different bitless bridles, from mechanical hackamores to bosals, bosalitos, and this is simply made out of rope. So if it doesn't have a bit, it's a hackamore. All right, now this halter is tied exactly the same as the halter, except for it's longer underneath here to accommodate this knot. Okay, so you still have the same piece at the bottom to be able to tie to if you wanted to, but this is simply tied with a set of what are called Makati reins. Now Makati reins have a set of reins, and the way this is tied, this is a single piece of rope. You have a set of reins with a 12-foot lead rope attached. So if you can imagine the versatility that you would have if you had just one thing to ride in, but you could tie your horse to it. You could step down and lead your horse through a bad spot. You can shorten the rein part and make a longer lead line on this side, or vice versa. If you want to teach a horse with drive lines, you can shorten the lead line part and make your reins a lot longer to fit down around the horse. So there's a lot of versatility to this. You can obviously tie a horse with it. It's just kind of a million and one uses. And what's really nice when you study riding from the ground and transition to riding from above, there's a benefit to it because you've already taught the horse how to follow a feel with your halter and lead. Now, and sorry, I'll finish that thought. When you go to make the transition up onto the horse's back, the horse already understands this. See, sometimes people use a halter and lead for communication on the ground, and then they go and straight in to put a piece of metal in a horse's mouth, which isn't a bad thing either, except that it changes the communication. Now you're kind of starting over, and that's why sometimes people say, well, everything's going okay here, but my horse is bracing and resistant when I go to here. So this is a transition tool from riding from the ground to riding with a bit. If you can't ride a horse in a safe situation in this, you probably shouldn't be riding the horse. You need to do more on the ground. See? So don't put yourself out in a situation where this isn't going to be enough. Go back to this and get this part even better. And at the same time, when this part gets really, really good, there's a place when a horse will ask for a bit, and that's a whole nother subject. So don't get stuck right here either, just knowing this is a transition tool of communication. And I know people that ride in this forever, out on trails, through water, on, big overnight trips, things like that. There's nothing wrong with riding in this. But again, to me, it's about continuing to accelerate your knowledge, your skill, your communication with a horse. So there's a place for this. There's also a place for bits. My personal aspiration is one day to have a finished bridle horse. And if you're familiar with that, if you've ever seen a truly finished bridle horse, it is a beautiful, very artful thing. That's my personal journey and my personal interest with horses. So the other thing to know, again, if you tie your horse with this, make sure that they're very confident tying, because there is no breaking point on this. So that's, again, to know kind of where those places are at. Think through some of these things. With the knowledge that you're gaining on the virtual tour, you'll be better able to make those kinds of decisions with your horse. But that's the riding hackamore. That's the use of it. It's a great transition tool. Lots of versatility to it. And I just can't say enough about it, how it's finished, how it's manufactured. It's really, really a tool that just will do so much for you with your horse in that transition from riding on the ground to riding from above. One more question I get about halter and lead versus a hackamore. People say, well, why do I need this? I can ride in the halter and lead. And you can. The problem is that it's hard to adjust the rein. So when you tie your 12-foot line around, oftentimes it's too long. The other thing is, if you need to get off in a hurry and have a lead line, you don't have a lead line. You have to untie it or bring it up over the horse's head. Now you have 6 foot because you have it folded in half and tied around. So you can ride in a halter and lead, and you can do ground skills with this. So let me describe the difference. Halter and lead is designed for about 80% on the ground, 20% riding. The hackamore is designed for 80% riding and 20% on the ground. So again, different tools for different purposes, and you decide which one you'll need in those situations. So hopefully that gives you a little explanation on some of the differences between the halter and lead and the riding hackamore.